Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we are of course going to be finally talking about Yelan in comparison to Kazuha. I know there's a lot of people who's asking the questions saying, oh, who's better, which one is doing more damage, right? I want to tell you guys, at the end of the day, it isn't necessarily about doing more damage, but we'll get into all of that a little bit later into the video. For now, just understand that I find Yelan to be a very easy recommendation to most players. If you are playing this game right now and your goal is to make your favorite character deal more damage or your favorite team be successful, I do think Yelan for the most part has a role in that team. Now, that's not saying that you're just going to take her and slap her into every single existing team, although in theory, in a way, that could end up working for you. It's just not going to be the most optimized in many scenarios. So understand, Yelan is a character that's going to fit very well into the current meta, and I believe going to be shaping up for future metas as well, because I just can't see a situation where Hoyoverse drops this new character who is also very good and then just forgets about her a patch 2 down the line, especially with Dendro coming right up the corner. She is definitely balanced for Dendro. You have to understand that, right? Because Hoyoverse themselves knows when and what Dendro is going to be. So of course she is future proof to make sure that not only does she not go out of line, but she continues to keep up with the standards that's going to be put out. While Kazuha is a character that's at this point already nearing a year old, many are already asking the question, how much longer can Kazuha last within the meta? Some believe that he'll be the best there is till the game closes its servers, or just until Dendro Sumeru comes out. Then Kazuha is gonna start seeing somewhat of a decline. I'm no saint, I'm no prophet. I don't know exactly when he's going to fall off, but I don't believe Kazuha is going to stay at the top of this game for the rest of Genshin's lifespan. So we'll talk about how currently these two stack up to each other and the interesting intricacies between how they function. Starting with the biggest difference for both of these characters, that while Kazuha and Yelan both increases your team's skill damage ceiling, Kazuha focuses on the enemy by shredding them, while Yelan focus on your own team by raising your team ceiling. Now, why is this single difference between the way they function very important? Is because Yelan is going to make a stacked team even more powerful, while Kazuha is going to be more beneficial the more resistance the enemy has. So think all the level 90, 100, the elite mobs, all these new monsters that come out that are meant to be scary new obstacles for you to take on. Oftentimes they come with really beefed up stats, and Kazuha just makes that look like a complete joke, right? It's almost non-existent, whereas Yelan is going to make a team that you have already hyper invested into, all your level 90s running like 5-star weapons or even high refinement 4-star weapons. Yelan's going to make those characters feel just that much more powerful. So there is a scenario, let's say, where you use a Kazuha against an enemy with very, very high HP, but almost no resistance. So like, their HP is just absurdly high through the roof, but their resistance are close to 0. So basically, it's just a damage sponge in terms of HP. Right? Kazuha is not going to yield as big of a return for you as someone like Yelan, paired with a bunch of level 90 units, and you just slap them together and throw them on the field to let them go do damage along with Yelan's burst. So at the same time, let's say you run into an enemy with incredibly just bonkers resistance for all elements, right? And now you got Kazuha with your Viridescence also running maybe a low cost or low level character rosters with budget artifacts and weapons. Well, Yelan's probably not going to see as big of an effect as Kazuha. What am I trying to highlight here, people? What I'm highlighting here is that these two units have two specialties that shine when different parameters are met. Yelan shines best when you already have really invested into your own team, whereas Kazuha shines best when you run into thick enemies. So that's talking about the main difference I've realized playing these two characters. That doesn't mean they don't work well together. I mean, I've tested a couple teams, and for what I've realized is that they can very well go together, although at times it could feel like it leaves little room to focus on other units of your team. And I found that for the most part, when running these two together, Yelan oftentimes is going to be the main damage option, or one of the main damage options. She isn't a hyper carry per se, but she can definitely dish out incredible amounts of damage while being on the field. The presence that she commands is not only from her ability to buff up the rest of your team, but the scaling in both her charge shot along with her elemental skill is just also very respectable. Currently, apart from healing your team, Yelan is seemingly very good at doing a lot of things. The one thing we do have to highlight the most is that the time on field is justified. When we did first see her elemental skill, I think a lot of people has been worried that, well, it's gonna take too long. She's going to be running around and trying to link all these enemies together, and it's just not going to be worth the field time. And we were wrong, because I think Hoyoverse made sure that our concerns in regards to damage output is addressed. Yelan pumps out damage. Yelan pumps out more damage than Kazuha, and I can sit here and I can tell you that without needing to reference anything. There's no way Kazuha on field can match Yelan on field as long as you have the equivalent amount of investment into both of these characters. In fact, I would argue that even a lower constellation Yelan could outperform a higher constellation Kazuha, because Kazuha was never designed to be a dedicated on-field DPS unless you get Constellation 6. But if you, let's say you get Constellation 6 for Yelan, she instantly becomes arguably the most broken and irreplaceable unit currently available in the game. And I'm not over exaggerating at all over here. At this point, I hope you guys can understand that I am very pleased with this character. She is the definition of what a Hydro unit is capable of without breaking the game by any standard. I think there are going to be ways Hoyoverse can counter a character like Yelan, but they don't need to go out of their way to make other units' lives miserable in the process. To a degree, I do think this is going to be a new standard that is set. Of course, she's a Liyue unit, so surprise, surprise, no one saw this coming, right? She definitely feels like the start of a new era. I do think there's going to be characters coming out in the future that can measure up to this ability in different roles for the game. And I think she now measures up as a great both on-field and off-field support DPS, both in sustained damage as well as burst damage. I do think she, for the most part, leans more into burst damage, looking at her elemental skill, looking at her charge attack, and of course, the only sustained damage she kind of offers is that to burst skill, which also has a ramping buff. There's just too many things about this character that just screams damage for most people to ignore. If you are a player that is over AR 50, I do think picking up Yelan is going to be a very nice choice. Or if you're scared of Kazuha not coming back for a very long time after his rerun, then maybe you can skip Yelan and get Kazuha's first, because there's a good chance that Yelan will be coming back before Kazuha. But the good news I want to share at the end of this video is, people, there is no real wrong choice here. I know, I think this is the first time I have to say this in a direct comparison video. You can't go wrong with both of these characters. I do think it's unfortunate for people who cannot get both, and if you are getting one or the other, just rest assured that both of them actually are quite valuable to your team's damage output. I do think for the foreseeable future, you're going to be seeing both Yelan and Kazuha recommended in a lot of meta teams, and you'll be happy to own either one, if not both. That being said, I do think Kazuha, for the most part, is going to be easier to use. I mean, you slap 4-piece Verdescent, you just swirl. That's it. Whereas Yelan has a little more finesse to getting her to reach her full potential. I mean, yeah, you can just drop her burst, switch out at the minimum, but just understand you'll be missing out on a lot of her damage potential if you don't utilize her charge attack, her elemental skill, and those require a better understanding of both her and the team that she's going to be in to fully utilize without having anything go to waste. Whereas for Kazuha, you just click 2 buttons and you're done. I'm so happy that we got a character like Yelan that everyone I think can safely recommend. If somebody tells you Yelan is trash, they're lying. All right, they're lying. But we got a character that anyone can just sit here and tell people, hey, free to plays. It doesn't matter if you can't wait any longer. She's a great pickup. Even at C0, she's very cheap to build. And I look forward to hearing from all of you guys with regards to how she plays and how you found new amazing teams for her. All right, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, urge y'all to stay safe and peace.